Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Scottsdale Big Book Study, where we will study the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Today's date is the 7th of March 2026. My name is Maria F. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. I'm from County Dublin in Ireland, and I will be your host for today's study. The co-hosts today are Johan N. and I think that's it, Johan N. and Johan will also do the Q&A. Please join us here in this room every Saturday morning at 7:30 Pacific Time and 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Just to note that we also meet Sunday through Friday night, and that's at 5:30 Pacific Time and 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions or any concerns during the meeting, please contact either myself or Johan, and you can do this by private message in the chat function. Please note our speaker today, Harlan G, will be recorded for the duration of this study, but we don't record the Q&A, which happens afterwards. So if you do have a question that you want to ask Harlan, feel free to do that. We don't put that in the recordings. And we ask that if you keep your microphone on mute at all times during today's study, and please turn off your video if you're exercising, you're eating, or if you're driving, just so it doesn't distract other people. If you can just disconnect the camera for that time. During the meeting, we will post the link to our 7th edition. This money goes towards the cost of our Zoom account, the cost of uploading our recordings, and we also send contributions to our intergroup, Arizona Serenity in the Desert, and also we send contributions to our World Service Organization. We will also post details of all the previous week's recordings. There are hundreds of them. So if you want to listen back to these meetings where we've go through the big book, do go through those recordings and you find them. So now we're going to go to Scottsdale in Arizona and we're going to go to our host today, Harlan G. Good morning, Harlan.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. It's just a gorgeous day here in Phoenix area, Arizona. I'm in Scottsdale, which is a bedroom community of Phoenix, and it's just gorgeous. I hope everybody who's listening to this, whether it's live here or whether it's on the recording, is having a great day too. We're going to start on page 85. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action. That's page 85. It is easy to let up. But before we get to that, we're going to sort of review what we did last week, because that is what we usually do. And if you remember, the focus of our conversation last week, the focus of our study is step 10. And step 10 is a vital step. Not that there's steps that are not vital, but this is a vital step. And we will be working this for the rest of our lives. One of the things that I hear all the time is not only something that we talked about last week, we're going to be talking about it when we get started. I hear this all the time. People calling or people saying in the meeting, I used to be in recovery, but I'm not anymore. And I will ask them, I bet you didn't do 10s, 11s, and 12s. And invariably, they will agree that they indeed did not. Remember that the lesson of continue, improve, and practice is a lesson that we must take with us for the rest of our lives. And step 10, we have this very quick little inventory so that we can dissipate the negative effect of anger and fear and selfishness and the guilt and the shame and the remorse of dishonesty and things like that. So it's very important. And last week, we did some examples of a step 10. So if you want to hear some examples of a step 10, how it's supposed to go, you can listen to last week's recording, which I recommend that you do. And 4 times in that paragraph, 4 times, it says the word continue. The paragraph that I'm referring to is the paragraph on page 84 that says this thought brings us to step 10. And in that paragraph, we see the word continue 4 times. Now, we're going to get started on page 85. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the concept of continuing. Very, very important concept. Let's go to page 85. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. Let's stop right there for just a minute. Well, let's just continue. Wait, we are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. What I might have put in there if I wrote the book is alcoholism is a subtle foe. Alcoholism. But let's talk about what we just read on page 85. It is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. Let's stop right there. You hear all the time people coming on the meeting and saying, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I'm a recovered compulsive overeater." What you don't hear ever, but from someone that knows what they're talking about anyway, is, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I'm a cured compulsive overeater." That doesn't happen. We are never cured. We have to remember something. And the only way for me to remember this is to teach it to others. Remember what Clancy Imislund teaches us. Clancy was an elder statesman of AA for many years. He founded in Brentwood, California, the largest AA group in the world called the Pacific Group. And they meet in a church in Brentwood, California. And Clancy Imislund, among the many things that he teaches, he says to us, we do not learn this program by absorbing spiritual information. We learn this program by transmitting spiritual information, because I have a built-in forgetter, and it's called the mental blank spot. And the mental blank spot will not allow me to bring into my consciousness the horror, the effect, the horrible, horrible pain and humiliation of the binge of a day ago, 10 minutes ago, an hour ago, or 3 months ago. It will not allow that to seep into my consciousness. It keeps taking that memory and obliterating it. One of the things that these sentences teach us, the ones that we just read, when we're in step 10 and we're seeing these various promises that we have been given, and we talked 2 weeks ago about the 9th step promises. But in order for me to fully get these promises, and in order for me to stay in a beautiful atmosphere, a beautiful state of recovery, I must continue to work my program. Let's go over some things that we know, but unless we're teaching them to others, are so easy to forget. This disease is permanent. This disease is progressive. Put a pin in progressive and permanent. We're coming back to them. This disease, if untreated, is fatal. Permanent. There's no cure for compulsive overeating. I don't care how much weight you've lost. I don't care what you look like now. It's fantastic. Look at some of the people here. They look like models. They look so wonderful. They look healthy, and they look alive, and they look like they were supposed to look when God made them. They look fantastic. And some of us, don't. Some of us do, some of us don't. But here's the thing to keep teaching to other people. Here is the thing that must be held on to, that this disease is not treated by abstinence alone. So losing weight does not cure this disease. And we were lied to. We were lied to as children. I don't know about you, I know about me. And here is something I'm going to share with you that was told to me that was a complete and utter lie. Lose the weight and everything will be okay. lose the weight and you'll be fine. And then you can go eat everything you want. That is not the case. That is not true. Not the case, not true. You could lose 1,000,000 pounds, and that will not cure this disease. So we have to have an idea in our heads that's very similar to an encroaching an army, an encroaching whatever. The disease is right behind you. It's there. It's alive. It's adaptable. It's metamorphosizing into what you are like today. The disease is coming. The disease is trying to catch you and kill you. This disease is relentless. It is cunning, baffling, powerful. And what is the word Bill didn't put in there that I want you to put in your mind? The disease is patient. I have seen the head of the inner group go back out. I have seen the head of the retreat committee go out. I have seen myself go out. I have seen the founder, Roseanne, go out. I have seen other things that remind us, not you, us. I have seen things that remind us that we are absolutely powerless over food and that our lives are unmanageable. And that is not a condition that is curable. I want you to know that one of the things that is so horrible is we get to a point and we put in our pay and weigh mentality. Well, my goal weight is X. I have achieved X. I look good. People are telling me I look good. When I get on the scale, I'm like Mighty Mouse. I'm like Superman. Hey, look at me, everybody. I'm at goal weight. Yeah, you may be at goal weight, or you may not be at goal weight, but you are not cured. Once again, before we move on, it says here in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, we are not cured of alcoholism. Let's continue. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. And we can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. Now, this is very, very important. This paragraph can save our lives. This paragraph is why we sponsor. This, among other things, we're told to, but nothing ensures immunity from drinking like intensive work with other alcoholics. And since we're on step 10, we should be sponsoring, because we're going to go into 11 here in just a second. We do not learn this program by absorbing spiritual information. We learn the program by transmitting spiritual information. The only way I remember this is to not only teach it to the men I sponsor, but to come here and discuss it. So you have to sponsor, so you can teach it to other people. And in so doing, by giving it away, a certain amount of it you will retain it in your heart, not in your mind, in your heart. Without this continue, improve, and practice, we will die in the food. There is no such thing as cured. I know I've said it. I'm reluctant to move on, but I am going to move on. But please, please, please understand that I don't care how much abstinence you have. I don't care how recovered you are. I don't care how many people you are sponsoring. I don't care how lofty is your reputation within the circles of OA. The disease is permanent. The disease is progressive. It's worse and worse and worse. And the disease, if untreated, is fatal. And the best illustration of this is the man of 30. The man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. And he calmed himself by drinking, but he decided that until he became successful in business, he was not going to touch another drop. He remained bone dry for 25 years. Bone dry for 25 years. You would think that that would cure him. You would think that that would help him. When he reached a certain age, 55, he retired, which is very successful. Okay. I couldn't retire at 55. I'm still working. I'm 71. So now he pulls out his bottle and he pulls out his carpet slippers and he decides he's going to go back to some drinking. Did he pick up where he left off? No. He was so bad. He was so bad that he ended up in the hospital several times in an asylum, and he was dead within 4 years. Let's understand that I am not saying that abstinence is not important. Please don't call me and say, Harlan said abstinence is not important. I never said that. I brushed my teeth this morning, but is that the reason that I got up? No. I showered, I shaved before I came here. I combed my hair. I did my daily maintenance, but I've got to go beyond that. And for me, abstinence is the entrance ramp to the highway. That's all it is. Without abstinence, I can't get on the highway. And that broad highway, that road that we trudge together, that road that we trudge together in unity and in recovery, that broad highway that God will receive us in on, we trudge that together. Trudge means to walk with purpose. Abstinence just gets me on there. But abstinence alone will not treat this disease. So I hear people saying this all the time. Abstinence is the number one thing in my life without exception. Abstinence is the number one thing in my life without exception. I don't say that. Abstinence is key. It's key. It's very important. When I went to college, I went to Roosevelt University in Chicago. You have to take English 101 and English 102. There's no degree that you can get from this university without taking English 101 and English 102. You cannot get a degree from that school without those subjects. But that's not why I went to college, but they were prerequisites. They're called prerequisites, English 101 and English 102. I took them, I passed them, I did well. Okay, fine. I think I got a B and a B. I think I got a B and a B. So anyway, abstinence is English 101 and English 102. Where does the rubber meet the road? Where does the rubber meet the road? In the working of the rest of the steps. A further demonstration of working these principles is the thing that's going to save your life. We think that the mere cessation of drinking is but a beginning. And how do I remember that? By teaching it to others. It says in the chapter, there is a solution. We think that the cessation of drinking is but a beginning. Don't let abstinence be your goal. It's a goal, yes, absolutely, because without it, you got nothing. It is a goal, yes, but it is not the goal. What is the goal? The goal is a spiritual awakening as the result of the steps, and then the continuance of that work so that you deepen and grow into the person that God wants you to be. I have a deeper understanding of myself than I've ever had. You know what they say, an unexamined life is not worth living. I do so many inventories. I think I understand myself, but you know what? I'm going to let you in on a secret. Let you in on a little secret. Sometimes I think I understand myself, but here's what happens. Somebody will break my heart. Somebody will hurt me. Somebody will disappoint me. And I have to do more inventories. And I discover things about myself every single day that I did not know the day before. I did not know. So I'm getting to know me. I'm getting closer and closer to God all the time. And my relationships with other people are better and deeper and richer. My friends are here from out of town. Not all of them, but a lot of them are here from out of town. That used to scare me when I first moved here because they were richer than me. They were thinner than me. They were whatever they were. Well, today I can love them and let them love me in ways I couldn't do 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So my relationships with others, myself, and God are better, deeper, and richer because of the work that we do in these inventories and in these amends and all of it, all of the above, all the steps, all of it. So it says here that these thoughts must go with us constantly. Very, very important. I must be conscious, aware of God. Now, not 24 hours am I conscious of God. No, I may see a game on TV and say, damn it, why'd that guy strike out on the Cubs? I really wanted the Cubs to win, and that guy struck out in the ninth inning, and we lost the game, and we lost to some stupid team, God knows where, and I hate that team. I'm not thinking about God in that moment. I'm thinking I want my team to win. Or I see a house, or I see a Lamborghini, or I see a what do you call it? A Rolls Royce. You see them here. Rolls Royce or a Bentley. Oh, I wish I had that car. Oh, I would look so good in that car. I'm not thinking about God then. I'm thinking about me. So, but you get the picture that you have to bring God into these equations. You have to. How can this prayer, this 10-step prayer, how can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. I must say that prayer 35 times a day. I say it when I get a sale. I say it when I wrap up at the end of the day with work. I say it when I put my clothes on. I'm wearing clothes that come from normal places. That's so foreign to my nature. I have memories of buying clothing where my mother would be crying. If you get the picture from coming here all the time, I made my mother cry a lot because of my eating disorder. I couldn't date. I didn't go with girls. I didn't have a life. I wasn't a good student because I was obsessed with food. I couldn't buy clothing. I missed out on a lot of life. I hope she's not crying today. I hope she's proud of me today. And I hope that she forgives me for everything I need to make amends to her for, up to and including being extremely disrespectful to her and not understanding that she did love me and that she was a good mom in her way. She gave me everything that she could. She was a White Sox fan. That's not easy to forgive in somebody. I am a Cub fan. Being a White Sox fan is despicable. People on the south side of Chicago, they want to root for the White Sox. That's their business. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to root for the Cubs on the north side because I'm a north sider. But seriously speaking, she did the best she could to live a good life, and she loved me, and I was not a good son to her. So I hope she forgives me. All right, page 85. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him. Who's Him? Him is God. HIM is capitalized. Him is God. So we're going to receive strength, inspiration, and direction. What did I want my entire life? I wanted a roadmap. I wanted an instruction manual. Well, here it is. It's called Alcoholics Anonymous. And if I'm working my program, I am going to make mistakes. And we're going to, we've talked about that already. We're going to talk about it again in step 11. I do make mistakes because I often say, oh, this is God's will when it's my will. How do I tell the difference? I know that I'll tell you how you tell the difference. When I'm screaming at myself that I want that, I want those Oreos, I want this car, this truck, or this house, or whatever it is I want, and I'm screaming at myself in all capital letters with exclamation points, and I can't let go of this desire that I have, that's me. God's will is downhill, downstream, hot knife through butter. It seems to just flow much more naturally. Small letters, almost a whisper, almost a quiet whisper. And there's God, and God is telling me that I need to do this instead of this. And when I go God's way, things work out for me. When I go my way, things do not work out for me. I waste more years of my life. I waste more time, and I have more heartache because I'm trying to shove that hippo through the dog door. I'm trying to force my will into the world, and it's not supposed to happen. Okay. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, notice it doesn't say suggestions, it says directions. We have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit, capitalized for God, into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. I will tell you, again, I don't obsess about God 24 hours a day. I think about making money. I think about what am I going to have for dinner. I think about, oh, I wish I was with her. Oh, I wish I lived there. I'm human. I'm a human being. These thoughts, these things are going to creep into my mind. But what we have is that consciousness. And I'm not responsible for my first thought. I'm responsible for my first action. I'm responsible for my second thought. And my second thought is, God, your will be done. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. Okay. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. The five senses are sight, hearing, touch, taste, and something else that I can't remember. Help me out here, somebody. What's the fifth? Taste, touch, hearing, sight, and something. Smell. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Those are the five senses. The sixth sense is the sense of God being present in my life. Thank you, Maria. Is God being present in my life. And I developed that. It's not a destination, it's a journey. So if you're not there yet, keep working at it. And every single day that I wake up in the morning, and I'm lucky enough to wake up in the morning, I say, thank you, God, for giving me another day of life. When I throw those covers off myself, because my air conditioner sometimes works a little overtime at night, and can get pretty chilly in here when I leave that sometimes I don't turn the air conditioner down, and it's 100 degrees or 120 degrees during the day, and then overnight it'll cool down a little bit. I wake up and my teeth are chattering together. I throw the covers off me and I say, Modeh Ani, thank you, God, for another day of life. First thought, go to the bathroom, come back, and what is the first thing I do? Step 11. Let's continue on the very bottom of page 85. Step 11. Now, we're not talking about the 10th step anymore. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. Now, I want to talk to you for just a minute. Meditation, to Bill Wilson, when this was written in 1937, 38, and it was published April the 10th, 1939, when he uses the word meditation, he is thinking of something different than what you may be thinking in 2026. Transcendental meditation and various forms of yoga, various forms of meditation and different things came to this country after the big book was written. And when he's talking about meditation, he is talking about quiet time. He is talking about prayer, and he's talking about quiet. So in other words, it's like what we would call two-way prayer. You speak, and then you just lay quiet. You meditate by being still. Be still, for I am God. That's in another big book. I don't know if it's in your part, but it's in mine. Be still, for I am God. And the bottom line is the quiet time comes to us from the Oxford group. And Ann Smith, when Bill was living there in the summer of 35, Bill and Bob wanted to get to the hospital and see if there was any drunks that they could work on. And they would try to rush out of the house. And Ann Smith would stand at the door and say, have you boys taken your quiet time? And they would sheepishly say no, like little boys who got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And she would point her finger at the chairs in the living room and say, go back and take your quiet time. And they would sit there and they would be quiet and listen for the word of God. And that quiet time is what they mean by meditation. Now, you may be thinking, I burn incense. I sit cross-legged in the middle of the living room and I chant and I do this and I do that. Am I wrong? No. You are doing what you are called upon to do by your Creator. If chanting, yoga, whatever it is, I meditate very effectively by being quiet, but I'll let you in on a little secret. Sometimes I meditate and I pray when I'm walking. Sometimes I'm having phone conversations with people. Sometimes I'm listening to music. Sometimes I'm listening to a book on my phone, which I have audios of books, mostly recovery books. But sometimes I just listen to my own breathing. Sometimes I just listen to my own heart. Sometimes I just listen to myself think about God. And with each step, thank you, God, because there was a time in my life where I couldn't walk 3 feet. Now I walk 3 miles. How lucky am I? How blessed am I? But don't forget something, because this is important. I am not blessed because I am Harlan. I am blessed because I walk to God, and when I walk to God, He runs to me, and I do the work every single day of my life. I don't walk 3 miles a day, 7 days a week. I walk 3 miles a day, 6 days a week, but that's okay. But I still pray and meditate every day, and I am of service to God. So if you think that recovery, or you think that this is only for a select few people who are chosen and lucky, think again. Every person that you see here, every person that you look at in your little Zoom, your little Hollywood square there where you can see the faces, every one of those people that is in recovery works their tuchus off to get that way. It's not something where you're just struck recovered. You're just struck abstinent and struck recovered. I've yet to meet that person. I've yet to meet that person. Bottom of page 85. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. So important is this theme that he keeps putting it in there so you get bombarded with it, so that you have the proper attitude and work at it. Again and again in the book, it is going to tell you this is not a program for people who need it. This is not a program for people who want it. This is a program for people who do it. Who do it. Action. Recovery is a verb. All these concepts are action words. It doesn't just happen. If you're struggling, if you are struggling with food, if you're struggling with the 4th step, if you're struggling with the 9th step, you're struggling with whatever you're struggling with, just remember, do something. If you want different, you have to do different. If you want different, you got to do different. That's all. That's all the book is telling you. And when you walk to God, he'll run to you. You are his child. He's not going to leave you in a lurch. Never has, never will. May have seemed that way, but it wasn't. He loves you too much for that. It would be easy to be vague about this matter. What matter? That you have to work at it. Yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Now, one of the questions that is invariably on the minds of compulsive overeaters is, why is the nighttime part of step 11 before the daytime part? And a lot of people think that this nightly review is a step 10. It is not. This is step 11. Step 10 is on page 84. This is on page 86. This is a separate and distinct step from step 10. This is not in any way, shape, or form part of step 10. This is step 11. Let's look at what it says. And when I go through this, a lot of times people miss this word that we're going to talk about. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Let's stop right there. We are so given to beating ourselves up. Why are we given to that? Well, the world teaches us that if we are hard on ourselves, maybe they won't make fun of us. Maybe they won't do it. Maybe they'll take pity on us. So we are very hard on ourselves. But what it says here is when we retire at night, we constructively review our day. If all you're doing in your nightly review is using this as a way of beating yourself, using it as a way to humiliate yourself, using it as a way to create guilt and shame and remorse within yourself and negative attitudes, it's no wonder that people do this and then go back into the food, because the food is going to give us that sense of ease and comfort, and it's going to assuage those negative feelings. So the word that I hope you have underlined, and the word that I hope you have highlighted, and the word that I hope you will teach to your sponsees is the word constructively. So constructively cannot coexist with beating yourself. A hammer to your head is not one of the tools of recovery. You got that? A hammer to your head is not one of the tools of recovery. Very important that we believe that. Very important that we teach that to the people that we sponsor. Where were we resentful? In other words, did I do a 10 step on so-and-so today? I was resentful. I don't have to go back and do another 10 step on it. I just remembered I was offended when so-and-so said this. I was resentful when so-and-so didn't say that. he didn't wish me a happy birthday, or he said, you stink, or he said, your mother wears army boots, or whatever the hell this person said, I had a resentment. I did a 10-step on it, and we were good. If I have other resentments, I treat them identically. Usually I have more than one in a day, but I'm just giving you an example. You don't have to revisit your 10th step. You don't have to redo anything. You don't have to do that. Selfish. Selfish is who didn't stick to my script today? Selfish is the script. Who didn't stick to my script today? Who didn't let me know that I am in charge of the world, so they had to do things my way? Good gosh, why did they do things their way? Where did they pick up on that? You're supposed to do things my way. Dishonest. Who did I lie to, or did I lie to myself? Or afraid? Was I scared? I don't have to revisit the whole inventory. Oh, I was really scared. I went to a baseball game not long ago, and there was some people there that I didn't know. I was a little frightened. I was scared of what were they going to think of me? I never met them. That will sometimes still scare me. And I got through it, and it was okay. It was okay. God did for me what I could not do for myself. Do we owe an apology? If I still owe an apology, I'm going to bed. I'll either make it if it's appropriate, or I'll make it the next day, but I need to make it. Again, do not use this as a way of degrading yourself. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? We're as sick as our secrets. That doesn't mean that I have to post in the chat my bank account number and my PIN. Doesn't mean I have to do that. But what it means is I was scared last week when I went to a baseball game, or I was kind of scared when my friends got in from Chicago. I hadn't seen them for several months. I hoped that no one would comment, oh, you're this, or oh, you're that. No, they didn't. They just loved me, and it was fine, and it was fantastic. Were we kind and loving toward all? You do the best you can. You do the best you can. Oh, no, I didn't say have a nice day to the woman at the grocery store. Okay, lots of people don't. Don't use this as a way of beating yourself on the head. You'll say it to her next time. It's okay, you're human. You're human. Okay? What could we have done better? Don't sit and obsess about it. Just look at your day. What could you have done better? And whatever it is, the next day, you'll try to improve. You'll improve. Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time, or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? What does that mean, to pack into the stream of life? It means to do for others. That's what it means. It means to do something for another person or another group. That's what it means. A lot of people don't understand that, but that's what it means. But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection. In other words, don't beat yourself. Do the best you can, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. There's nothing in the book about emailing this to your sponsor. Now, if you're doing that, it's not wrong. It's not going to catapult you back into the food. It's not something that is going to hurt you. But there's nothing in this paragraph that indicates you should share this with another person. Again, that does not mean that it's wrong to do that. It does not mean that you shouldn't do it. It just means there's no requirement here to share this with another person. Okay? Now, we've done our nightly review and we've gone to sleep. On page 86, on awakening, I do some other prayer first, then I go to this. Let us think about the 24 hours ahead. Well, today I'm not working. I'm going to go do this, the big book study. I'm going to go to lunch with some OA friends at a place right here. And then I'm going to probably come home and watch some baseball. My friends should be coming in tonight from Sedona. And then we'll meet up later probably. And that's what we're going to do. That's my day. So Let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Am I doing anything today that I feel is against God? Am I doing anything today that I don't believe God would want me to do? Am I hoping to steal a thrill because I've convinced them to go to some restaurant where I can binge my head off there? Am I trying to steer their plans so that I can get some sort of thrill from something? Am I trying to manipulate them? And the answer is no. No, I'm not eating out with them tonight. I'm going to eat before I go because they're going to a place I'm not going to eat there. There's the particular cuisine that they're going to tonight doesn't work for me. So I'm going to eat before I go. They understand. They don't understand why I'm going to eat before I go, but they know I do it. They just think I used to be stupid and now I stay on my diet because I'm smart. They haven't got any more of an idea what is going on in my life with this disease and the recovery than they do how the space shuttle works. They have no more an idea how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly than they do what happened to me. How come I don't eat like I used to? How come I don't weigh 700 pounds? How come I don't weigh 600, 500? How come I don't eat the way I used to? All they know is I used to be stupid and now I'm smart and I stay on my diet. I've stopped arguing with them. I've stopped it. I don't justify, I don't defend, I don't explain. I just say, yeah, that's right. And I don't say it meanly, but I'm not. To those who understand, no explanation is necessary. To those who do not understand, none is plausible. We can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Self-explanatory right there. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. What used to be the hunch or the occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. Now, remember I told you a little while ago that there are still times I make mistakes where I mistake God's will for my will? I said that a little while ago. Here is the book explaining that to me in graphic terms. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable that we are going to be inspired at all times, inspired by God. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. So we are a work in progress. Don't deliberately misunderstand the word of God. Don't go out there and try to be undisciplined and unproductive. Don't try to do your will instead of God's will. But this paragraph is telling me in no uncertain terms, I am a work in progress and I am not going to be right 100% of the time. Don't beat yourself up. You're doing the best you can. If you're doing the best you can, that's fine. If you're not, well, that's a different story. That's a different kettle of fish. This next paragraph here is pure Oxford Group, and it is written almost verbatim on page 13 in Bill's story. This paragraph is pure Oxford Group. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be. In other words, God, show me what the next step is to be. It doesn't have to be an elaborate prayer. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare or, inspired. God, show me what my next step is to be. That we be given whatever we need to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves only. In other words, God, give me a Rolls Royce. God, let me win the lottery. And if I win the lottery, I promise I'll give half of it to the synagogue, and I'll go around and I'll give money to the poor and all that. That's praying to win the lottery. Good luck on that. What I want to do is see how I can be of maximum service to God and the people about me, and I will be fine. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. I want a Rolls Royce. I want this girl. I want that house. I want the lottery. I want this. I want that. It doesn't work that way. Forget that. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Whatever is supposed to come to you will come to you. Trust God. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. You're going to sit there and ask God. I see the people. I go to the grocery store here, right 2 minutes from my house. And they have a big thing in the store with the lottery. And they have, $82 gazillion, and you can win $97 gazillion if you play this, and $82 gazillion if you play that. The odds against you are 29 million to 1 against you to win those massive prizes. And I see people in line, and they're praying before they give their money to the lottery. Okay, whatever floats your boat. Hey, you know what? Somebody's going to win. I get it. Whatever. That's fine. They're not taking anything from me. They're not, stealing it from me. But I would rather spend my time praying for knowledge of God's will and the power to carry that out. I would rather spend time asking God for direction, because that's going to give me something better than the lottery. It's going to give me recovery. It's going to give me self-respect. It's going to give me life. It's going to give me life that's worth living. Things you can't buy for money. Yeah, I'd like to win the lottery. Yeah, I'd like to win gazillions of dollars. Sure, I would. Absolutely, I would. I would. I'd be the worst kind of liar if I didn't say I'd love to do that. But I have something in my life today. Instructions, God, the power of the universe, abstinence. I have a healthy body. I am alive, and I'm glad to be alive. That's so new for me. All I begged God for every day was death. Now I'm alive, and I'm glad to be alive. Page 87. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. In my last relationship, we used to do step 11 together. I love that. One of the things I miss the most is having somebody to do that with. It's really nice to have somebody to do that with. But if you don't have somebody to do it with, just do it yourself. It's fine. If we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles. What are the principles? The principles are the steps, not the thing you see today where the principle of this is hope and the principle of this is honesty. He didn't know from that. They came out after he was dead. The principles are another word for the steps. We have been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they offer. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. What do you do in the pause? Step 10. When you're agitated or you're doubtful, you can do step 10. So I equate doubtful with fear. I equate doubtful with having a fear. So I do step 10. Whatever someone else does is fine. And ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Very important. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. Remember our step prayer, step 10 prayer? How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. Here it is again. Thy will be done. Same thing. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. Running the universe is exhausting for me. It's exhausting to be in charge of the world. The food, getting the food, eating the food, buying the food, getting the money to buy the food, hiding from people, avoiding social circumstances, wanting to run the world. It's exhausting. This is the easier, softer way. The recovery that we have is the easier, softer way. And the next sentence is one of the most important sentences ever written in any language, in anywhere. What is the next sentence? The next sentence is, it works. It really does. Don't doubt this. I'm a monster when it comes to food. I am a monster when it comes to food, and I haven't compulsively overeaten in over 27 years. I have lost over 500 pounds. I have a life today that's worth living. I don't hate myself. I'm healthy. I love my life. I love my friends. I love you. I love my people on my meetings, Scottsdale meetings. I love them. I love the people I'm having lunch with today. I love God and I trust God. This works. It really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined. There's the understatement of the century. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There's action and more action. Again and again and again, he is going to tell you, don't stop. Don't stop doing this, and do it more and more and more. And I know you've got kids and I know you've got responsibilities, but the more you open up your world to recovery, the more time I seem to have. Look at the time I spent eating and getting the food and hiding and all this other crap. Now I have time for recovery, and it's a fantastic way to live. It is a fantastic way to live. But this is not all. There's action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. So we have step 11. And step 11 is teaching us to pray and to be quiet. Step 11 is teaching us to improve our conscious contact with God. In 10, we continue. In 11, we improve. And in 12, we're going to practice. Next week, we're going to talk about working with others. And we're going to talk about sponsorship. But step 11 is a very distinct step from step 10 and step 12. Very distinct, very, very important. I hope that we've made clear the distinction between step 10 and 11. And I hope that today we have made clear the need for constant work at this. I hope today we have made clear the fact that this is not a one and done situation, that every day of our lives we must do more and more, because the disease is permanent, the disease is progressive, and if untreated, the disease is fatal. And anybody that thinks that they can escape that will be dead, and that will prove them wrong. And unfortunately, you have that is death is out there, but you have an opportunity today to change what you're doing and recover. And this is the most beautiful way of life imaginable. Okay,